Hey MVPs, Rigo Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about the UFC fight night that just occurred. Roman Dolidze versus Vettori Part 2. I think it was Las Vegas 104. This will be a public video. It'll be free for everybody to watch. I'm going to blow up the screen a little bit here. For those of you watching me on the Discord server, you can't see me, but my camera's in the top right corner over here. You'll be watching this video on YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, wherever you're watching it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. Tonight was rough, man. I told you guys going into this card, I was taking a lot of underdogs simply because the odds were away from us, but I also believed in some of those underdogs. And it just so happens I picked the wrong ones on a night where a lot of underdogs won. Let's talk about it, though, real quick. It's not the worst card in the world. It's just all the parlays missed. So when you look at this particular card, I'm going to go into detail on all this at the end of the card, but we did improve on our props. We got our props right most of the night, and big props, right? We hit a plus 1,200 on a sub, but the reality is most MVPs don't bet the props, or they don't bet them as heavy. They bet a lot more on the parlays, and when you miss every single parlay for a night, it's a rough night in the office, and we've had this happen before. We've had it happen once earlier this year, and it's been back-to-back weeks of kind of substandard performance in that regard. We don't have too many of these in a year. It's the reality of the situation. So this feeling kind of sucks, but we try to get through it. I apologize. My throat is really killing me. I'm trying to hang in there, but I think I just need to rest it. I've been talking all day, every day, and I've not let my throat rest. And I think it's just worn out like a singer with their vocal cords. That's never happened to me before, but I've been going through it for about a month now. So let's talk about the fights real quick, though. Excuse me, see, that hurts so bad. Eunice Dubin versus Carly Giudice. When we saw this fight leading up to it, everybody got pretty excited. Dubin was an underdog you could believe in at plus 300. The last time we saw her in the cage, she knocked the hell out of somebody, a housewife from Canada. What I saw in this fight, to be honest, in my assessment, is I think Dubin doesn't belong in the UFC. I think that she got here because she had that puncher's chance and that big punch and that knockout. But if you don't get the knockout, what do you have? And what you have is somebody who's just a step slower than everybody else, and you make Carly Giudice look like a world-class fighter. Like, there's people watching that fight going, hey, Giudice is ready for the big time. And she had never won a UFC fight before. I think Giudice just did what she does to people on the regional scene, which is win. And it's unfortunate, right? And it sucks because I didn't believe in Giudice because I've watched her just go out there and kind of pitter-patter, and here she gets a head kick knockout. It shows me that she's growing and learning, and for somebody who used to be a softball player, she's really dedicated herself to MMA, and now we have to kind of respect her. Going the distance and losing a split decision with Gabriela Fernandez is a big deal because Fernandez is very strong, and here you have a one-punch knockout artist in Dubin, and I don't think we're ever going to see her knock somebody out again. I understand she won a UFC contract. We'll see who they put her in with next, but it's going to be an absolute scrub. It's going to be an absolute bum, and I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know what the odds are going to do for us. But shout out to Carly Giudice. She looked good. I still know that she's not a world-class fighter, but she looked like one in this fight. Next fight, we got it right. We took Priscilla Cachoeira. The reason I took her in this fight is pretty simple. I watched Cachoeira get her ass beat in many fights. And I understand, like, she got outstruck by 300 strikes in her last fight before this one. But that didn't matter because all those fights that she lost were because somebody did a takedown and then just beat her up. She didn't know how to get up. She's a terrible fighter. But if you're not going to get a takedown and you're just going to try to stand and bang, oh, she's great. She got real power. She punched like a man. She's going to throw them things. As long as her chin's not in the air, she's got a chance. And remember, when somebody's got a height difference of like 6 inches, your natural striking range, like when you throw your fist out in front of you, they're at your shoulders. That's perfect height where their face is. It's a beautiful thing. Like, you don't have to aim high. You don't have to do anything. It's right in front of you. You're right at their forehead when you're fighting a smaller fighter. And Nunes is going to be a smaller fighter every single time she's in the cage. I told you I'm not impressed with Nunes. If you guys watched the pre-fight video, I'm just not impressed with her ever since her debut. Her debut was a one-punch knockout, and now everybody's convinced she can one-punch knock out everyone, and she can't. She just can't land anything. She looked helpless, hapless. She kept doing the same maneuvers. She just looked terrible. And you get knocked out by an uppercut. And I called the uppercut. I called the uppercut a minute before it happened. If you were watching the live stream, I'm like, oh no, all you got to do is do an uppercut here. She keeps lowering her head to the same side, doesn't block it well. This is going to be bad. And uppercut came. And not just any regular uppercut. She allowed her to put her hand on the back of her head. And then you can't miss at that point. Now you just hit your own hand, right? It's like clapping. You won't miss your hand if you're clapping unless you're white and have no rhythm. But I'm saying like this, right? It's the real thing. So shout out to Cachoeira. She looked great in that regard, but I still know who she is. She's a substandard fighter. She's not a complete fighter. She just has a puncher's chance. When you see her knock out somebody like Ariana Lipski or De Silva, whatever her last name is nowadays, that's impressive, and it's a feather in your cap, and you got to respect it. So I'm glad we got it right. I just wish more MVPs bet it, but put it in one hand and go the other. Next fight, Daniel Barras against Andre Lima. Lima's undefeated. I hate Lima. I think he's a cheater. He grabs the cage at all times, does everything wrong, but man, is he a patient fighter. He's very, very safe. He does things very well. He doesn't rush anything. He's got the right skill set. I think he's an incredible kickboxer. He destroyed the lead leg. He never looked out of place. He looked like he was in control this entire fight the whole time. And Daniel Barras, for being a guy who attacks the body, dominates, trains with that ass-kicking guy from Spain. I forget his name right now. But he trains with Alvarez, and he looks like he's supposed to be great. No, he needs to retire. If we ever see Barras anywhere, we're just going to fade him. He throws hard. He fights hard. But remember, when you're at this weight of like 125, the minute you get older and you lose one step and you lose just a split second on when you sprawl and when you strike, all it takes is just that little bit amount, right? Heavyweights, they're hitting their prime at 36, 37, 38 because they're getting strong, right? I'm 42. I might be stronger than I've been in the last 10 years. People get stronger as they get older, but you don't get faster. You don't get quicker. Your fast twitch muscles, the fibers, all that, it just goes away. And at 135, 125, it's very noticeable. And it's just enough to where you just don't win anymore. The things you used to do that land, they don't land anymore. You just straight off. So when you're fighting a guy who's 10 years younger than you at 26 years old and he's looking crisp and he's at the prime of his life, yeah, he's probably going to go smoke a pack of cigarettes and then beat you tomorrow again. So shout out to Andre Lima. We got to start respecting him and the way he fights. The thing that makes it difficult to bet on him is Vegas loves him. Vegas is going to overcharge you to bet on that guy any day of the week and twice on Saturday. So careful with that. We'll have to figure out a way around it. Look for props, things like that. Shout out to him for getting a rear naked choke victory. Next fight. I don't understand the scorecards. A judge gave Sam Hughes the first round and then a 10-8 second round. That in itself pretty much seals our fate here. I told you guys Steffi Luciano is one of the best young fighters I've seen. I like her a lot. And she did exactly what I thought she would do. She pieced her up from a distance, maintained her distance, but in that second round, she was taken down and lost a lot of her stamina, a lot of her mojo, a lot of her just crispness, and it didn't look the same when she got back up. Seeing a young fighter like that not find their way back to their feet against a very durable, very limited athlete in Sam Hughes, it's very disappointing. The judges' scorecards are even more disappointing. And my biggest issue is one judge has Stephanie Luciano winning the fight, and another judge has her losing 29-27. You can have it either way you want, but if we're off by 3 points between the two judges, that's a problem for me. I think I might have talked about in the video, Sam Hughes plus 3.5 is probably ideal, but it is what it is. We lost, we missed, it's a lock. And I hate picking the one fight on the whole card and that gets it wrong. That's the hardest part of my job. Very, very disappointed in this fight. And shout out to Sam Hughes, I guess. Josias Mustafa versus Carlos Vera. I told you the only bet that I would take in this fight was Carlos Vera by submission. Nothing else looked appealing to me. I know Musasas is strong and young, but he's unproven. He went to decision on Contender Series. There's no way I can agree that he's a minus 800 favorite or 725 favorite. Like, the whole thing just sounded silly. So that's why I put it there. Now, to be fair, I put Musasas here, and he's the only black lean on the entire card. And I did that because I didn't want to make it a lock because I didn't want anyone to parlay it. But I made it a lean because I honestly thought, it'll be a freebie to get the lean. It's worth the value bet at plus 1,200, but I'll get a freebie to get the lean and give me those points for plus 240. And this is where you want to get the upsets right, and you want to pick the underdogs, and then you pick the wrong ones. You pick the wrong ones, you get the right ones, you pick the wrong ones. Ribeiro and Vera would have been huge had I picked them, and I didn't. And that's life. You live and you learn. But what did I learn from this fight in particular? Carlos Vera is a jiu-jitsu nerd. He just doesn't really want to strike. He got lucky with a kick of some sort and then finished the fight with a rear naked choke. Cool story, bro. He's a jiu-jitsu nerd. He pulled guard 3 times in the first round. He was on the ground. The ref had to stand him up. Never believe in the way he fights and what they do at that gym. Mousasi is just young, got caught. Everybody gets caught, and he's young. He's not training with the right people. He needs to move to America and train with better fighters and learn how to deal with that. And then when I say that, you know, he had enough strength to pull the arm off of his neck. When somebody's doing a rear naked choke to you, you do not attack the arm that's around your neck. The arm around your neck is not strong enough to finish the choke. If you put someone in a headlock right now, rear naked choke, and you get your bicep on their carotid artery, which is here, and then you try to bring it around to the other carotid artery, it's usually your wrist, you can't finish the choke. You have to push back on the top of the head or grab your own bicep and push forward with the other hand. So what you're supposed to do is when somebody's choking you like this, all you need to do is ensure the other hand doesn't get involved. So you reach for the top hand. We talk about peeling the top hand. And I bring that up because Mousasi's on the ground not reaching for the top hand. That's fundamentals. That is legitimate fundamental. He literally just laid there and he had his hand ready to tap. Whenever a fighter is caught in a choke and he's got his hand ready to tap, that means they're training to tap. They're training he's used to drilling and doing a rear naked choke, and then your partner taps you and then you stop. All right, now switch positions. All right, you do a rear naked choke. All right, tap me when you're ready. Tap. None of that is going to help you win in a fight. That's pretty cool. It helps you learn how to do the choke, and then you have respect for each other and tap. What you need to do is teach your fighter how to peel off the top arm and what to do when you're in harm's way, meaning tuck your chin, peel off the top arm, get rid of the legs, get rid of the hooks. Like, there's a lot of fundamental things you need to do. He did none of them. So there's a learning curve there. There's a limitation on what he should be doing in the cage and what he brings to the cage, and we need to remember that. He's just a very infantile, like he's very basic and limited in his jiu-jitsu. Incredible athlete, very strong, but Carlos Vera showed him there's levels to this, even though Carlos Vera is very corny. Next fight, AJ Cunningham and So Young Yu. So Young Yu is one of the most boring fighters in the world. He's just a wrestler. We took AJ Cunningham here, but it's one of those things where, like, AJ is not a UFC fighter. It's 100% right. And I told you, bet you points. It was on the card, bet you points. This is why the props did so well. I knew Yu is never going to knock this guy out, and I felt like Yu by points is a plus 150. It's a really good bet to take. Yes, Cunningham's on the board. But it's like I tell you guys, a money line underdog, we're currently hitting at 38. Wait, we went up. We improved 43%, almost 44%. So when you see a purple in this column, you got to pick about half of them. On tonight, for example, we got 3 of them right. 1, 2, 3. But there was 7. So we missed 4. If you pick the right 3, you're on top of the fucking world. If you pick any of the wrong ones, you're not there. Now, at the same time, you could turn around and fade them, but I don't know how much money you're going to make from that. I've never done an ROI on taking a 650 and a 450 and a 390. Like, I don't know. So it's difficult, man. This world, I saw a lot of MVPs second guessing gambling on the UFC, maybe because the judges do you wrong. The picks are hard. It's a difficult sport to bet on. There's a learning curve for sure, but I don't think you guys, like some of you guys are saying, I'll be back in football season, Rico. I'm like, that's fine. I won't stop doing what I'm doing. This is one card of 42 in the year, meaning there's about 14 fights on every single card. So if there's 40, that's 160 plus 400. That's 560 with another 2 plus 14 and 14, 28 to 560. We're looking at 588 fights a year on average. Some get canceled, but let's just say 550 fights a year. And you want me to worry about the fucking 14 that happened tonight? I just keep going, man. If you can't, then don't. I highly recommend people skip and sit out fights. Sit out fights you're not sure of. Pick and choose your battles and your moments. And hope for the best. But you guys chasing and picking every single fight and every single card, I don't know if it's a habit or what, but it just gets worse and worse and worse. I don't know. So shout out to them. Shout out to the MVPs. Next fight, AJ Cunningham should never fight in the UFC again. Next fight, Ryan Spann. We didn't get Superman Spann. We got Ryan Spann, they say. I heard somebody say that on the internet. It's funny. Waldo Cortez Acosta. We need to put some respect on this man's name. He's 13-1. His jab looks sharp. He looks like he takes his time, and he's got cardio, man. He's in shape. He was not tired. He felt good stalking his opponent. No worries. Respects the power of his opponent. He defends strikes really well with his shoulders. Just keeps them up and just kind of defends himself. It's really nice the way he rolls his shoulders and defends against strikes. And then when it's time to pounce, he pounces. So Waldo Cortez Acosta, gotta respect him. I think he called out the Black Beast, and he called out Derek Lewis and Tai Tuivasa. Is that who he called out? If he did, he's going to be the brakes off of both those guys. We're going to take him. I don't care what the odds are. Ryan Spann, I wish he would have took off his gloves and went home. He looked terrible. Came up to heavyweight, weighed 249, put on all this muscle and all this stuff. He didn't do anything. Couldn't wrestle at this level. Couldn't get a takedown, which is what he's supposed to do. And he can't move back down to 205 now. You put on too much muscle. You got to fight at heavyweight now. And that's just a scary premise for somebody like that. It's unfortunate. That sucks. And we missed, by the way. Kevin Vallejo. This was obvious. This was going to happen. Told you guys, he's a beast of a man. He lost in his debut, Contender Series debut, against John Silva, the fighting nerd. And we know John Silva's walking through everybody. Well, so is Kevin Vallejos. He's walking through everybody. This is a little guy, though. Remember, he's very small in stature. So somebody with longer reach and knows how to maintain their range, they might give him fits and problems. I can see that happening. But the fact that he called out John Silva is silly. Don't call out a beast like that. Call somebody else out so you can get some more paychecks and some more wins and work your way up the rankings. Don't be calling out a dude who's been walking through everybody. That's silly. But he looked great. And this dude, Suwong Choi, he's old, he's tall, he's rangy. He's not trying to win. We knew he wasn't going to win in the pre-fight interview. He said, I'm going to make it difficult for him to knock me out. What the fuck, bro? Not I'm going to knock him out. Not I'm going to win the fight. I'm going to make it difficult for him to knock me out. And I apologize. I'm low energy. My throat really killing me. Usually I'd be screaming right now, but there's nothing to scream about. Oh, wait. Speaking of scream about, DR Ngozi is no longer undefeated. We've had an undefeated fighter lose every single week. We got to start predicting this. I think I predicted a fair amount of them, but I didn't predict this one. Ribeiro is a terrible fighter, and he won by submission with a Kimura. Kimura should never win. I'm yelling out, roll forward, roll forward, roll forward. He still doesn't do it, and then by the time you do it, Ribeiro's in position to keep cranking it once you roll forward. It's just bad football, or excuse me, bad fight IQ. And DR Ngozi has a crazy twitch, a nervous tick, and it's hard to bet on a guy like that. It really is, because his hand is preoccupied with touching his eye the whole time. So now you're not striking with it, and you're not blocking strikes. You're touching your eye over and over and over and over. It's weird. It's hard. And he's just like a freak of nature, dude. He's something else. And then he showed up 5 pounds overweight. He's unprofessional. If you're not going to make weight and show up like a professional, you deserve to lose, but we also shouldn't bet you. And I did give a warning about this on the Patreon. I just, some MVPs are smarter than others. Not better than others, smarter than others. Shout out to who wrote to me on this, because I wrote about it. Here you go. Shout out to the MVPs here. I wrote about it, and I said, a day ago, I wrote about it, and I said, DR missed weight by 5 pounds, just a heads up. And Robert Brocky said, that was so funny. I thought you had Tourette's. Oh, in the video. He said, I don't feel comfortable putting my coin on this fighter. I don't feel comfortable. It just made me feel uncomfortable. And good for him, he dodged it. Now, this was a lock for me, and I didn't dodge it. We missed. It's unfortunate. It sucks. I still think Brenton Ribeiro is not a great fighter. I'm curious to see who they pair him up against. They're giving him these debuts. They don't like him very much. They don't want him moving up the rankings if they keep giving him scrubs. But he got it done. Next fight. I told you guys Damon Blackshear is extremely expensive. According to Vegas, they always make him the big favorite. It's hard to bet on him because of it. Yes, there was MVP screaming out he's going to win by submission, and he obviously did. Some MVPs bet it. Congratulations to them. I want to tell you guys that there are MVPs out there who tail other bets from other people, right? I said Damon Blackshear by points. I was wrong. But we knew he was going to win the fight. Cody Gibson's got to be kind of tough, be a wrestler, all that stuff. But anytime you see Damon Blackshear, just understand that he's got limitations to how great he really is, man. He's athletic, he's crafty in his jiu-jitsu. But I want to tell you, my assessment of him is he's a jiu-jitsu nerd disguised as an athlete. And I think it's probably because he's black. He's not Asian, he's not Brazilian. He looks like an athletic black guy who's going to come out here and throw something nice, box and clean and move and stick and jab and all that. And then he's got that wrestling and that grappling. I think it's literally it's a visual thing. But when I watch him fight, he's a fucking nerd. He wants to only be on bottom. He wants to only be on the mat. And he'll win his grappling exchanges. He will get the reversal. He will get the sweep. He will get out of a bad position to put you in a bad position. Like, he's very good on the ground. I think he's very marginal on his feet. He does not impress me on his feet. So much so that Cody Gibson was whooping his ass on his feet. Like, dominating him on the feet. You see the significant strikes? It is 45-13. Don't be fooled by those total strikes. 45-13 significant strikes. Cody Gibson was dominating this man until he wasn't. So I understand Damon Blackshear is going to win fights. You can't take his bet. It's crazy. He's a minus 500 as he's getting his ass whooped the whole first round. You can't believe that. You can't believe that, man. Minus 500 shouldn't look like a minus 500 should look like Superman. So, congratulations if you took the bet and you bet on him and you believed in him. Obviously, he was a lock for us to win, but it's minus 500. Next fight, Alexander Hernandez versus Kurt Holobaugh. This is the problem with the UFC, man. If we got a fight and we think it's going the distance, stop trying to pick the winner. Just stop. Just bet that it's going the distance. Bet the over rounds. Do something like that. I think you'll be more consistent doing that than trying to pick the winner. And I say this because a judge had this fight 30-27. There is no earthly way this fight was a 30-27 fight. Kurt Holobaugh definitely won the first round. Definitely. Then in the second round, there was a takedown and he couldn't get up. And now we know what his Achilles heel is. Kurt Holobaugh's a tough dude, but he can't get up off the ground. He doesn't know how to get out. And fundamentally, he's doing things wrong. If someone's in the mount on you, you need to shrimp to guard. Shrimping to guard means push on their knees, get your knees in front of theirs, windshield wiper in, shift your hips, and get back to the guard. Whether it be half guard or full guard, I don't care. But he doesn't shrimp to guard. He doesn't even dig for an underhook to lift him over you. If your opponent's over you too high, you can shake him off. You can flip to your stomach. You can do, I call it shaking them off, shaking their ass off the top, tripod and shake them off. He doesn't do this. Kurt Holobaugh doesn't fight with the right sense of urgency. And when they tell me you're a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, that tells me you're very comfortable on your back and you think you're going to get a submission from there. He's doing some silly shit from his back. Kurt Holobaugh doing some silly stuff from his back. It's like he's not even getting an arm bar because he's reaching for the wrong leg. Or I'm sorry, the wrong arm. I don't know what it is. And I told you guys during this fight, I said it out loud. I said, you know, guys, like I'm a martial arts expert. Like I teach and train martial arts my whole adult life. And I'm watching this fight and I'm going, I don't know what moves next. Like I can call out the move that's coming. I can tell you what they're going to try to do and when they're doing it. I can do this 100% because I've done it my whole life. I'm watching that fight and I go, I don't know what's coming. I don't know what he's doing. I couldn't call it. And then there's like, well, there's a north-south choke there. There's a this, that, and I'm like, no. There's just, it's crazy. You know when you see this in wrestling. When if you go to like a wrestling match, go to a tournament and go watch like freshmen who have never wrestled before, and they're both just using a lot of energy trying to pin each other or get points or something. Like you'll look at it and just be like, oh my goodness, what are they doing? That's what I saw from Kurt Holobaugh. So I think his ground game is trash. I think the fact that he doesn't know how to get up is trash. And we need to never forget that. Because if he's fighting anybody with the ability to take somebody down, he's lost. He's going to lose that round. Tough as nails, can't finish him, bet the over rounds all day. But Kurt Hallbaugh is not going to win a lot of fights in the UFC if he can't get up off the ground. And Alexander Hernandez, Vegas is going to make you overpay for this dude. He's not very good. He doesn't wear damage well. He's got scar tissue and bleeds really easy, and he's just not very good. Just letting you know. He won the fight. He won the fight with miracle takedowns, and he's quote-unquote the P word, according to all the chat. Right? You guys called him the P word. Next fight, we called this one right. We predicted this one, and it took a lot of courage to predict this one. I want you guys to know that, because Dos Santos is an ass kicker, and everybody knows it. But for me, Chidi, like I told you, when I did my assessment, Chidi just looked more efficient with his striking. And they try to vilify it and say it's too linear. He's Muay Thai. And when it's linear, you know, your opponent can change angles and levels and strike. And I'm going, yeah, when you change levels and angles and striking, you get further away from the target. You need to be longer if you're going to change levels and angles. That's why Dominic Cruz always talks about it. But Dominic Cruz is a tall 145-pounder. Like, they don't understand. You can't do that when you're the smaller guy. You're too far away from the target that you're trying to hit. And the bigger guy is just going to land. And I told you guys this. It reminded me of the Ozzy Diaz fight 2 weeks ago, where I saw one fighter moving everywhere, being kind of herky-jerky. And then there's just one dude who's really efficient with his energy, his power, and everything's just coming down the pipe. And when something lands from down the pipe, whether it be a knee, a punch, after a while, you're like, yo, this is going to be a problem. And Chidi won the fight that way. He still got a little suspect chin. I got that. But I called it like I see it. And we were right. So ending the night with the co-main event and the main event, underdogs winning and being accurate, it's pretty fucking awesome. I just wish MVPs had the courage to parlay it. You know what I'm saying? Because we got them both right for a reason. That's real. So maybe I should have added the parlay on the card, Rico. Oh, yeah. And then the main event. Marvin Vettori's got a chin. He's very durable, but he's got the inability to really impose his will on people. Marvin Vettori does not want to hurt you. He wants to put on a suit after he's done, and he wants to make sure he's okay. I think Marvin Vettori, if I can describe him, he's like those ultra runners in long distance running. You guys ever seen those guys? They run like 50 miles. They run 12-minute miles, bro. They don't even run very fast. They just keep moving and never stop. And they never want to beat you in a race. They never want to beat you in 1 mile. They never want to beat you to the corner. They never want to beat you to the tree. They never want to beat you. When I was a kid, we used to race light pole to light pole. And if we're real about it, we're going to get barefoot and we're going to figure this shit out. We're going to see who's the fastest kid in the neighborhood. And I could just tell you, like, if you wanted to race a guy who never wanted to push it and race you, you'd be like, this guy don't even want to race me. He's punk, right? That's Marvin Vettori, bro. He don't want to race you. He's going to walk the whole way. Never get too up, too down. Never get too excited. Fights on the line. We got to go out there and get a finish. You know you're losing. Doesn't care. He's down 49-46. He's down every round, and he ain't going nowhere. He ain't doing nothing, bro. Just going to go out there and kind of mosey. Make sure I'm alive for another fight. Because if you guys didn't know this, if you take too much damage, the Nevada Fight Commission, the Gaming Commission, they'll suspend you for a period of time. All fighters get suspended. If you get knocked out, there's a suspension. That's what it's called, a suspension. And you're not allowed to fight for like 6 or 8 months until you recover and then get approved by a doctor. So if you get a concussion, if you're out cold, there's different suspensions for different things in duration. This is why you won't see a fighter fight for a while. They have no control over this either. So I think Marvin Vettori just likes to keep his paycheck going and never wants to really miss. So he just kind of chills and won't go for it. Never forget that. They're always going to put this guy in main events. They're always going to put this guy on main cards. I don't know why. He doesn't really move me like that. But they're always going to give him the extra 5 rounds. He's got the cardio to fight for 5 rounds. He's got the appeal to get fans from Italy, which is probably the appeal, right? They want fans from Europe. So they'll get an English guy and an Italian guy and a Russian, a Chinese guy, Australian. It's strategic. They're trying to find fans from all over the world. But Marvin Vettori is not a very good fighter. On the other end, you got Roman Dolidze. Dude's mean. Dude wants to bang. He's going to throw everything he's got as hard as he can. And that's why I believed in him. If you go back and watch that first fight, it was not hard to call this. Roman is just punching harder than him. He's just moving things. Oh, but Rico, the cardio. No cardio. I don't want to hear about cardio. Roman is throwing bang. You saw that for 25 minutes. There was not a single feint, a single jab. There was none of that shit. It was just crosses and hooks. Crosses, hooks, and kicks. Crosses, hooks, and kicks. And you cannot take anything he's throwing. Roman's a vicious person. So I was very impressed with Roman's durability, Roman's endurance. I'm curious to see who he fights next. It's only main events from here. And, he was calling out some of these guys ahead of him. I don't mind. He said Adesanya, Robert Whittaker. I don't mind. Go bang with somebody, bro. He's mean. So I was grateful that he was an underdog for this fight. I thought that was silly, and we had to take it. And I hope you took it as well. Now, shout out to the MVPs. I'm pulling up the Discord server now, and if you look to see, I didn't see everybody who won. These are some of the wins. Shout out to him. This gentleman here won a plus 1186. And it's just doing what we say, right? Will the fight go the distance? The girls, yes. No. We figured this wasn't going there. We knew this knockout was happening. Knew this sub was happening. No. They thought Cheaty was getting knocked out. And then these guys would go the distance. What a great parlay. Shout out to Adam. It was very surgical. That's pretty good stuff. Hell yeah. And another one Adam did. Now, this one was very popular on the internet. If you guys didn't see it, the guys, there's some betting guys on Twitter. They bet like $4,000 on this, and it turned into $100,000. So Vallejo's TKO submission, this is the number one bet put out there. The sports books lost their ass on this bet tonight. So shout out to him. Congratulations. Shout out to D-Rock. Got it done. And Ant-Man got it done, right? But we did hit on some people having the courage to bet on certain parlays. Shout out to Rico on the Vera sub. Yep, I had it right. Luciano lost so bad. Total strikes don't really matter. When people lose, a lot of people like to bring up total strikes when people lose. That doesn't matter. I say it all the time. You could. It's a round by round scoring system, so you can lose by 40 strikes in round 2 and still win rounds 1 and 3. And not have the significant strike advantage. So total strikes doesn't matter. It's round by round. It's real. So it is what it is. Nonetheless, thank you guys for being MVPs. Pull up the fight card one more time. Missed on every parlay. It happens. We missed a lock here or there. Stephanie Luciano was a big part of my parlays. Obviously, once she lost, I missed all these. And then Kurt Holloway didn't come through. These were lottery tickets. Not a big deal. No chance. Neither one of them won. And then Roman did win. But here it is. What I'm really proud of are some of these subs. Not subs, but props. So not going the distance, plus 126, plus 150, plus 1200. 3 props going there. Another prop here, winning in the first round, and it not going the distance was a hit as well. But just missing too many spots for it to really matter or for us to get ahead. It's life, man. We're not used to our locks being at 68%. Obviously, all last year they were 83, and that's a significant difference. 15% difference on locks is astronomical. So chances are we're going to go on a run. We're going to get it right at some point this year. So you just got to hang in there. There are all these other fight cards left. It's not the end of the world. Leans, we're usually at 66%. We're at 55. That's a cold run right now. Value bets, we're right about where we should be. That's pretty good. This is actually very good. Picking underdogs this year because that 43%, 44% is people who are significant underdogs, and we're getting them right. So it's pretty sweet. Parlays, we're just showing you, man. Parlays, even if you think they're going to hit, it's hard to get above 50% on parlays. That's why parlays are a money hole and money sink. I'm trying to get it over 50. I'm trying. We're going to get it. We'll get it by the end of the year, but it's been a rough one. And you guys got to understand, we dominate parlays, but then there's cards like this where we miss every single one. And that happened in week 1 this year. So when it looks like we're not hitting any parlays, look at that. Week 1, week 2, and this week. We are combined. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1 in 13. And then we missed these 6 today. 1 in 19. You know what that means? That means we absolutely dominated in parlays for a month. That's what it means until that card and that card. So for a month there, We went absolutely ham on parlays. We just got to get it back. Sorry, I'm really under the weather. Thank you guys for being MVPs. Thank you guys for trusting me. We'll try to get it back next week. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.